Right, so apparently Scott's websites have been talking to each other through the source code of the websites. That is scottgames.com and fnafworld.com. So now let's take a look at what the websites are saying to each other. Now to get the source code, all you have to do is press Ctrl and the U key. So as you can see, we have some quotes from both of the websites. Let's write them all down. So I wrote down all of the quotes from both websites, and this is what I think the conversation is. So now let's find out who is actually talking. Now I'm extremely sure that I know who it is. I don't like saying that I know things for 100% certainty, and I'm not saying that I am. But I am extremely certain that I know which two people or things who are having this conversation. I am positive that scottgames.com is Michael from Syslocation. As his last name is unknown, we will simply just call him Michael. And that fnafworld.com is Ennard. Now why do I think this? Remember in Syslocation when we found out that it was Ennard talking to you the entire game? Well, remember when Ennard calls you a dummy in the game?
It's because, dummy.
fnafworld.com also called scottgames.com a dummy. Now I definitely feel like this is a hint from Scott. Now of course this isn't all of the evidence. Now scottgames.com says we found a way to eject you. Pretty much what happened to Ennard. Ennard got ejected from Michael's body and into the sewers. Which brings further evidence that scottgames.com is actually Michael. And the quote, "we found a way to eject you," fits into place perfectly. Now then, when exactly does this conversation take place? Well, I don't believe that this conversation takes place at Fazbear's Fright or around the time Fazbear's Fright was burned down. See, I actually believe that this conversation between Ennard and Michael actually takes place in this cutscene, or in the cutscenes before. Now, this makes sense because Ennard just got into Michael's body, which explains why Ennard thinks he can control Michael's body. But then Michael says, "we found a way to eject you." So now, you might be asking, if this conversation takes place when Ennard is still inside Michael, then what is Scott trying to tell us? Well, for one, it gives us a little bit more information about Ennard and Michael. Since Michael is the brother of the girl who was killed by Baby, stick with me here, who later became Ennard, we clearly see that they are enemies in this conversation. They clearly don't like each other. Well, you know, it's to be expected, you know, since Ennard kinda, you know, forcefully stuffed his body inside. Yeah, you know. But I don't believe that this is the message that Scott is trying to send us. Now, I think the main thing Scott is trying to say is that, well, notice how Michael says we instead of me or I. And he also says we outnumber you. But how is that possible? Since Ennard is inside Michael, he doesn't mean him and Ennard when he says we. So who could Michael be referring to when he says we? We! But that's not all. In the final cutscene, Michael says I and I'm.
It's me, Michael. I did it. I found it. It was right where you said it would be.
So I'm not sure about when Syslocation takes place, and the same with the time Fazbear's Fright burns down. However, I do know that a long time has passed between Syslocation and Fnaf 3. Roughly around 30 years. Not exactly, but probably somewhere around the 25 to 30 year mark, or 27 to 30 year mark. So between the time of Syslocation and Fnaf 3, we know that Michael has now lost his friends from Syslocation. So now, who do you think Michael refers to when he says we outnumber you? Let me know in the comments below, because I really want to hear what you guys think. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, a like would be much appreciated. And if you want to see more FNAF theories, then be sure to subscribe. Thank you and goodbye.